in Arsenal right now and what's ahead for them? Because your latest article is not so favourable for Liverpool's chances of winning the title. Is that fair to say?
I think it's fair to say, but I think, like, I want to, despite what I said earlier, Manchester City are like significant favorites to win, but I don't think that it's a foregone conclusion in the way that it seems to have sort of overtaken the larger soccer discourse that they're just going to win out and win everything. But I think it's the article I wrote about Liverpool it's a little harsher, I guess, because Liverpool had finally kind of separated themselves by a handful of points at the top of the table. Were finally the favorites to win the league. They were heavy favorites to win Europa League, and then they drew with Manchester City at Old Trafford, got absolutely destroyed by Atalanta, and then lost at home to Crystal Palace. So I think with Liverpool, it's a little more cascading. You go from being favorites in two competitions to being favorites in neither. So I think that that's just kind of a quicker turnaround, I guess, for them. So that's why I wrote about them. And I think, I don't know, we're talking about Arsenal. I think we saw against Villa, like Arsenal's, the question with them is all season has been, can they create enough chances? And I think in the second half of that game, they struggled to create chances. While in the past 3 games for Liverpool, the 2 questions are, can they finish their chances? And 2, do they control games enough? They just don't. The bet that the Klopp makes with Liverpool is we don't need to control games. We're better off not trying to control games, because we're going to create just tons of chances on the attacking end. We're going to score. And then Van Dijk and Konate and whatever third person is hanging back to defend counterattacks are going to deal with all the attacks into the box. And so I think with Liverpool, I honestly think the Man U game was sort of a complete freak result that they win, I don't know, 85 times out of 100. Atalanta, they deserve to lose. And then Palace, they came out slow, but also created an absurd number of chances, but just didn't turn them into goals. So sort of everything, all of Liverpool's weaknesses kind of came together. Plus, I think bad luck, bad finishing, whatever you want to call it, to take them from, oh wait, we could win a treble, to now it's unlikely that we win another trophy.
What's your order, Ryan, right now of how it's going to finish 1, 2, 3 in the table?
I think it'll stay how it is. That's the most boring answer possible. I think that's the most likely outcome. But I guess what I will say is I think there will be shuffling. I don't think it's just going to stay how it is from here on out. I think if I had to bet, I would bet on City not considering the odds, but I think City are most likely to win. Then Arsenal just have a large goal difference advantage on Liverpool. Their schedules are, to me, not that different in level of difficulty from here on out. But I do think that, like, we saw Arsenal and Liverpool drop points in games where I don't think either team was that bad. Arsenal easily could have been winning by multiple goals at halftime. Liverpool could have scored 3 goals, 4 goals against Crystal Palace. They just didn't. And that's how soccer goes. And I think Manchester City are probably going to get caught in a couple of those games from here on out too. It's just a question of, can Liverpool and Arsenal avoid slipping up from here on out?
So what happened to Liverpool in your opinion, Janusz?
Yeah, they picked the wrong time to be wasteful, right? It all came to a head. And again, I'll continue to say that. Now, being in the situation that they've been, you can call it a little bit of a choke, right? Because once you get there, you better finish it. And now sometimes you have a team that deep down that you're not really sure why they're up there. But Liverpool is good enough. And that's why I think I maybe, if I had to bet, I would say that Liverpool will finish ahead of Arsenal. I just think that schedule is much, much more difficult. If I look at Arsenal still having to play Chelsea, Spurs, and Man United, remember, the air came out of Liverpool. Now the expectations for them is not to win it. I doubt that they're going to finish this season for Jurgen Klopp in the manner that we've seen in the last 3 games. So all of a sudden, when I worried about had things were equal and say Liverpool, didn't lose, away games to Fulham, Everton, and West Ham look differently than they look to me now, because the expectation isn't for Liverpool to win it. And by virtue of that, I think their schedule is easier than Arsenal. I also think that getting players like Alisson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Diogo Jota back, speaking of lack of depth for Arsenal, I think clearly, in my opinion, it's a better squad overall than Arsenal. So I think that Liverpool may push it here, because I'm telling you, I think they know, just I mean, if you come to training and you see how much it means for Jurgen Klopp, how much it means to the supporters, and and I just think that this is going to be a different Liverpool we're going to see. I'm not so sure with Atalanta. We've seen that happen, but I mean, 3-0, that's a difficult one. But I think when it comes to Premier League, you see it. The bottom line is, because you asked me about Liverpool, is yeah, I mean, Darwin Núñez, we've been here before. He works hard, he scores, but I mean, the worst in terms of their big chance conversion in top 5 in Europe. 11 goals in the Premier League, 11 goals on 103 shots. And we've seen that. So if he does come around and score a goal or two, you always wonder how meaningful those goals may be. But I think in a run-in like this, with Manchester City having everybody available and everybody capable of scoring from just about everywhere, right? I mean, look at Joško Gvardiol. He's scoring for fun, Champions League and Premier League now. Maybe he's not the best example. I just have a feeling, jittery, Luis Diaz jittery, and you have Mo Salah, who's picked the worst time not to be scoring. Obviously, he's had some injuries, hasn't had the consistency that he normally has, where he plays from first whistle until the last. So I think that's an easy pick right there, because they've created enough chances in all those games that we've mentioned.
Before we let you go, Ryan, if City are to go on and do it, it will be a 4-peat. It will be 6 in the last 7 years. Some praise if they are to go on and do that for everything we've seen from City over these last 5 or so years.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to point out too that they're doing it at a time where, like, the relegation level teams in the Premier League are signing players from like the best teams in Serie A and the Bundesliga. So I think in a lot of ways, like, the Premier League is more competitive than it's ever been. The big six have more money than ever before. The mid-table, as we're seeing with Villa this year, as we've seen with Brighton recently, are better than ever before. So City are doing all of that at a time where, like, the level of play, I think, at the bottom of the league is higher than it's ever been before. So I think that it might even undersell kind of how impressive of a run it is. At the same time, I would be remiss to not point out that there are over 100 financial charges that are being looked at by the league. So at the same time, we know City have more resources than anyone in the league on paper. We also don't know sort of exactly what resources were used to build these teams overall. So it's an unfortunate thing to have to point out. And it's kind of becoming a growing reality in the Premier League, where we don't actually know what's going on with any of the teams in the league. But yeah, I mean, they're just the best English soccer team of all time. Like, I don't really think it's even arguable.
Ryan, it's great to have you on as always. Make sure, if you are an ESPN Plus subscriber, you do get your exclusive content. Ryan's latest article, How and Why Liverpool's Premier League and Europa League quest is falling apart. Thanks so much for being with us, Ryan. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Good man, Ryan.